Am I the a-hole for making my dad live with the consequences of choosing his stepson over me? My parents divorced when I, 19 male, was 2. They shared custody of me, and while my dad was never a perfect parent, he was a pretty decent one. Our relationship was pretty strong. Then, when I was 9, he remarried, and our relationship changed. He has a stepson, Tommy, who's 3 years younger than me, and most of his time went to him after he remarried. It wasn't that my dad never spoke to me or looked at me again, but he broke every promise he made after he remarried. He prioritized the time he spent with Tommy, and he never wanted to include me. Oh no, that wasn't possible. He said he didn't want to take away Tommy's chance to have a dad when he never had one before. And for that to work, he needed to make the time to be his dad. The day my mom died, rather than be with me, he went ahead with his plans to take Tommy to play a father-son game of football. I was 13 and having my dad out having fun with his stepkid while my heart was breaking freaking wrecked me. He went with Tommy knowing my mom had died too, and my dad's wife accused me of being spoiled because I wanted to ruin Tommy's fun with my dad and wouldn't share him. There were times he had a work thing that meant he had less time in a week. A perfect example of that happening was the time I was winning an award, and I asked Dad if he could take me out for cake and ice cream afterward. Just the 2 of us, and he said yeah, of course. 2 days later, he had a plan to take Tommy to this all-day karate thing. My award thing was Thursday, and the karate was on a Saturday, and my dad was told on Tuesday he needed to work more hours that week, and he told me on Wednesday that he only had time that week to spend with one of us, and he was keeping his plans with Tommy. I'd already lost my mom, so I had to scramble and ask my grandparents if they could make it at the last minute. I detached emotionally from Dad before I even turned 16, and I just stopped believing him or expecting a relationship with him. After a few months, I decided I would fade from his life once I was 18, and I started to plan my escape. I clashed with my dad's wife a lot in the last year because she wanted more time with Dad and her, and I refused to babysit Tommy for her. He was 14, so not like a small little kid, but she babied him a bunch, and the fights between us got pretty nasty. I don't know when my dad started to want more time with me or why. From what I know, he still spends a crap ton of time with Tommy, but he reached out to me and asked to meet up, and I told him no. I didn't BS him or make any fake promises only to cancel on him. My dad wanted to know if I'd have time soon, and I said no. But he didn't give up and he invited me a handful more times. Then he wanted to know why I didn't come home for Christmas, and he asked for us to have a family dinner soon. Again, I said no. He's planning a vacation with his wife and Tommy, and he invited me along. He said he'd pay and everything. I told him no yet again, and this time he made it a point to show up when I was visiting some of his family, and he brought his wife and Tommy along. When they showed up, I went to leave, but Dad stopped me and begged me to stay, and he said he wanted to spend time with me. Tommy said he wanted to hang out with me too, and he told his mom he wanted to go somewhere with me. I told them I was leaving, and Dad asked me why I wouldn't spend time with him anymore. His wife told me I couldn't possibly walk away from my father and brother. I ignored her and told my dad it was the consequences of always choosing Tommy. I told him I wasn't here to play games, and I wasn't ever going to forget what an awful father he turned into. Then I said he wasn't my family anymore and left. He had it out with the relatives I was visiting, and now his wife is furious at me. She said I'm being spiteful, and these aren't consequences of Dad's actions. They're a child having a tantrum and wanting to punish people. She said it was most unfair to Tommy, who feels like he lost a brother. I told her Tommy never had a brother and to leave me alone. Then I blocked her. My dad's been trying to talk to me like crazy too, but I muted him and ignore them now. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He had a shot to be your dad when you begged him, when you needed him. He chose the stepkid instead. You have every right to feel your feelings and decide who is family and who isn't. Family doesn't equate to blood. Family equates to love and support. I'm an old lady, so don't be offended when I say I'm proud of you for advocating for yourself and your peace. Bravo. Who the heck abandons their child on the day the child's mother dies? That's just, wow. Takes a whole new level of, wow, I got no words. Sorry, OP. Go be you and find your peace. Not the a-hole. not the a-hole. People like your dad seem to think their kids of old will be fine being put in a holding pattern, while they be the big heroic parent their new stepchild obviously need in their life, obliviously unaware of how their neglect is killing their relationship with said old kids, until it slaps them in the face with a cold burst of reality. As for his wife, ignore her. Her only interests here involve keeping her marriage going, now that your dad's starting to realize how bad he messed up. She knows he'll blame her, rather than take responsibility for his own actions. Albeit doubtless, she also should be held responsible too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my dad to my wedding after he said he'd only come if his wife was okay with it? I'm 29 and getting married next spring. My relationship with my dad has always been complicated. He left when I was 12 after divorcing my mom, and basically disappeared for a few years. He came back into my life when I was around 18, newly married to his current wife. Since then, it's been this on and off thing where I'm always the one reaching out. We only talk maybe once or twice a year unless I initiate. He missed my college graduation, didn't respond when I told him I got engaged until almost a month later, and honestly, just hasn't made much of an effort unless it's convenient for him. I sent him a save the date for my wedding and followed up with a phone call. He answered and said something like, "I'll try to make it if Linda is okay with it." Linda is his wife, by the way. She has never liked me and didn't even invite me to their wedding. She's always made it clear that I'm not really a part of her world, and I've stopped trying to force anything. When he said that, it just broke something in me. I didn't say anything at the time, but later I sent him a message saying that I didn't want someone at my wedding who was only going to show up if their wife gave them permission. I told him that this day means a lot to me, and if I'm not a priority, then I'd rather he just didn't come. He never replied. That was 4 months ago. I sent out the official invites last week and didn't include him. My mom is totally supportive, but my aunt from my dad's side messaged me and said I'm being cold and unfair. She said he's trying, and I'll regret it one day when he's gone. She also said it was cruel to cut him out over one comment. Now I feel conflicted. Part of me feels like I finally stood up for myself, but another part of me wonders if I let my hurt get in the way of something I'll wish I handled differently. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my dad to my wedding because I didn't want to beg him to show up? If someone has to check with their wife to see if they can show up for their own kid's wedding, they're already not showing up for you in any meaningful way. You didn't cut him out. He stepped out years ago. That hit hard because it's true. I've spent so many years making excuses for the way he shows up halfway or not at all. I think I just finally reached my limit. Your aunt is so out of line. You aren't cutting your dad out for one comment? There is 17 years of him sidelining you, and that comment is the final nail in the coffin. Your dad is an a-hole. Your aunt is an a-hole, but you? No, not the a-hole. I hope you get the wedding you want, drama and a-hole free. That means a lot. I've tried to keep the peace for so long, but yeah, it's been years of being pushed aside, and that comment just made it impossible to ignore anymore. I really do just want a wedding filled with love and people who actually want to be there. How would you know the difference when he's gone? He's basically acting like he's been gone for years anyway. You didn't cut him off after one comment. He cut you off years ago, and you've just stopped hurting yourself by trying. Not the a-hole. Wow, that hit me hard. You're right, I've been hanging on to this idea of what I wish our relationship could be, and I think I finally stopped hurting myself trying to chase it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wanting a photo at my wedding with only my bride and our biological parents without my stepmom? My wedding is later this month. My wife-to-be and I would like to take photos of many configurations of family members, and it would mean a lot to us if at least one of those photos was of the two of us and each of our biological parents. My parents divorced over 10 years ago when I was in college. My dad remarried, but my mom has not. I love my dad, but I feel zero affection for my stepmom. I never have. She did not raise me and has only made life difficult for me, my mom, and my sister. However, I love my dad, and I have accepted that if I want to maintain a relationship with him, that I have no choice but to tolerate her. I told my dad about the bio parents only photo that I want to take at my upcoming wedding, and he told me that his wife was being weird about that and refused to allow such a photo to be taken, but that he would talk to her to see if he could change her mind. He called me back today and informed me that my stepmom absolutely refuses to allow my dad to appear in any photo with his ex-wife if she isn't also part of it. She thinks that people will think they're still married, and that for me to even suggest such a thing is rude and disrespectful to her. Apparently, she has had prolonged expletive-filled arguments with my dad over the idea that he could ever think of not taking her side on this. I don't think I am asking for anything unreasonable at all, and I think she is the one who is being selfish and disrespectful. I am not excluding her entirely from photos. She will be in many photos that day, but she is not my biological mother, and given how she has treated me and the rest of my family over the past decade, she should frankly be thankful that she was invited at all. All I want is one photo with my own parents. On my wedding day, the one day in my life where I would hope that my fiancé and I should get the final say. My fiancé and her parents are completely on my side. She is upset and shocked that this is a conflict at all. Today we had a call with the four of us. Me, my fiancé, my dad, and stepmom. On this call, my dad firmly said that he refused to appear in any photo with my mom without his wife beside him. My stepmom told me that, I know it's your day, but you need to think about how you make other people feel. She told my fiancé, who is from another country, that in America this is considered rude. My fiancé tearfully argued with them, saying nothing that I disagreed with, honestly. The call ended with my dad saying, "Let us know if you still want us to come to the wedding." Am I the a-hole for thinking my stepmom is being completely unreasonable, and that my dad has let me down by siding with his wife over his own son on his son's wedding day? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. This is going to sound harsh, but you love your dad unconditionally, and he doesn't love you the same way. Unfortunately, his new wife has made his love for you conditional. No matter what, she will not be in your photos, whether they come to the wedding and you eventually edit her out, or they just don't come. If you have any children, I guarantee that she will want to be considered a grandmother. Your father has made his choice. You need to make yours. Either you make your future relationship with her clear, or you let her force her way into your life. If you want to stand up for your mom and not have this delusional woman in all of your pictures, you are not wrong. Your dad is banking on you loving him more than he cares about your feelings. He's a coward, plain and simple. If OP decides to relent and let stepmother be in the pic, I think we'll soon see a post on r/Photoshop's requests to edit out the stepmother. If he even lets them go to the wedding at all. Not the a-hole. There's nothing wrong with a photo like that, or with requesting it. You could instead take a photo of you and bride with your dad, and one of your and bride with your mom. Then Photoshop them to make a group photo of the four of you. Last story. Am I the a-hole? My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school, using money they never told me about. I, 30 female, have been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full-time while studying, recently paid off my student loans on my own, and just started saving to buy a home. I didn't apply to grad school because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we needed to stand on our own after high school. My brother, 22 male, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got a full academic ride to a great state school, and graduated with honors. I'm so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that would open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the country. My parents asked if I could help out and suggested I contribute around $15,000 to get him through the first year. They'd match it, and he'd take loans for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals, and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. During the conversation, my mom got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant, and she said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school, or now while I'm saving for a home. She said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property, and since I haven't needed it, I'm not engaged or in a relationship, they decided to give it to my brother, because he has a more immediate need. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case for how I could have used that money, and now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I felt hurt and left out. My mom said I was being unfair and that the money was never promised, and if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, and he understands why I'd be upset, but said he didn't ask for it. He just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support each other. I know my brother worked hard and isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. Not the a-hole. Those are really sexist expectations. If they wanted to financially support you, they could give you the choice of using the funds for education or travel, a home or a wedding. That's what I've done with my daughters, who I've been saving for since they were born. But despite it being an a-hole move, it is their choice how they spend their money. And it is presumably still their money, rather than an account in your name. So in practice, the a-hole element was telling you that it was your money, in the same move that they snatched it away from you again. That's the part that really upset me. Assuming they set aside money for both of us, why is he worth paying for grad school for, but I'm only worth paying for a wedding? Not to pile on, but it's worse than that. They expected you to pay for your own education and his graduate school. I'd be hurt too. Not the a-hole. Not surprised they saved it for a wedding since you are female and they won't let you use it for school or something else. But they can't let their precious golden child son go without. If I were you, I would go no contact with your parents. I suspect this is a one-off of your brother getting special treatment. They've never favored him like this before. I try to point out that I paid off my student loans just fine, and it wouldn't kill him to have to do the same. Not the a-hole. Your parents are, though. It was okay to save for your wedding, but not your education? It is okay to give to your brother for his education, but it seems he does not have a wedding fund. Mom and dad are a-holes. Allegedly, they have money set aside for both of us. My mom said that I didn't want to go to grad school since I never applied, or else they might have had a discussion back then about the money. I think that's BS.